Ever wondered who has custody of Jeff the Land Shark? Is it MODOK, Deadpool, Emma Frost? Just kidding, of course not. Hawkeye 1 or 2, or Gwenpool? The answer is so very complicated and makes me angry. October, it's gonna make 13 years my parents being divorced. And I've been starting to think they're not gonna get back together. Speaking of custody battles, Jeff, the Land Shark. You may have seen him in Marvel Rivals or Stalking Your Nightmares. Both can be true. It's not a stretch to say he's popular, from the games, questionable merch, and the many comic appearances he's made since his breakout appearance in Marvel Rivals. But what if I told you this post-Jeff world wasn't always the case? That's right. Once upon a time, this would have looked like another industry plan for Marvel. A massive push for a character no one's interested in, like those unsold Bruno Pops. True story, by the way. I went to the Funko warehouse sale, and they had literal stacks of unsold marked down Pops of Bruno for the Ms. Marvel series. I like to imagine what happened to the guy that greenlit that idea. But unlike industry plans, Jeff was always a cool character, because, come on, he's adorable. Since 2024, we've been in the Jeff the Land Shark world, similar to Baby Groot's popularity, but more mainstream. Unlike Groot, though, Jeff doesn't have a clear owner. Groot has Rocket and the Guardians too, but Jeff's 7-year history in comics doesn't make that as clear. I mean, it's kind of clear who, but you look at where he started and where he went, and I'd argue this isn't the case. It could be his creator MODOK in the canceled WCA series. Maybe it's Deadpool, Hawkeye to Gwenpool. He doesn't have a clear custody holder in his canon. His Superman is Crypto, which made me wonder. Now, I'm using owner in the sense of who's the primary shareholder, / who to win in a custody battle. He is a pet after all, the bite your face off type. The answer to who has primary custody of Jeff is complicated, purely because he spent so much time with so many people. So let's start at the beginning, the year 2018, a great time for Marvel fans, provided you're not in Florida. Writer Kelly Thompson and artist Stefano Caselli are rebooting the West Coast Avengers in an all-new ongoing series, featuring Kate Bishop, that guy, American Chavez, Hawkeye 1 and 2, Gwenpool, and that guy. They have names, but come on, you're telling me they're Kid Omega fans in the audience? I like WCA. I think it's a great, fun series with a lot of the team being normal people moments that you don't see often in Marvel books. It's very Young Avengers, but just enough that the bomb that explodes whenever Marvel reboots the Young Avengers doesn't go off. Starting to think it never will. The first issue introduces these genetically engineered sharks that can walk on land. Later in the series, we find out MODOK created them, in case you thought that occurred naturally.
His fins turn into prototype legs.
Damn it. You could argue MODOK's the real owner, being the father and all of Jeff, but he doesn't care much about him, except in that one vertical where he was, but I think that's more of the one that got away sort of vibe. He doesn't show up in his series or others, so I'm not putting him in the running for who has custody of Jeff. Anyway, the Land Sharks show up again. The WCA fight them off, and in issue 7 in 2019, we're introduced to Jeff. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. Shark's nasty too. Originally, he's more of a shark with legs appearance, somewhat cute, but in that cat-eating way like Arnie Hammer or Alf. Fun fact, in Kelly Thompson's Substack, she noted the personality for Jeff was based on her cats. While the others showed disgust / fear of the baby land shark, Hawkeye lets Gwen keep it. She names it Jeff, and they go on 1,000 more West Coast adventures together. Damn it. West Coast Avengers, the ongoing series, unstopped after 10 issues. It was a neat experiment, and I think fans of Young Avengers / Challengers will like it. WCA started Jeff's journey, and it's probably the biggest thing to come out of the series. So you think Gwen would be the owner of Jeff, having adopted him and all. You'd assume she'd take care of him for the rest of his comic run, but thank God you're wrong. A few months later, Deadpool 2019 launches with artist Chris Bacalo and writer Kelly Thompson. DP is hired to take on the King of Monsters, who's now called Staten Island his new home.
Now make him like and subscribe so we can have 500 subs.
No. That's not. No. Buddy. I don't want to lose. Refuse that. I can't lose.
During this, Gwenpool shows up literally out of nowhere to give custody of Jeff to Deadpool. Her reasoning being so Jeff can stay in the narrative and continue to be a part of the Marvel Universe with a more popular character, because her books keep getting canceled. Good! At first, Jeff does not like Deadpool, but like the over-trusting victim he is, he comes around. They go on more monster shenanigans, but don't worry, nothing bad happens to Jeff. DP's unusually responsive for him, at least when danger's in the way. He punts him like a football at the X-Men. At this time, another pet sitter for Jeff is Elsa Bloodstone. She's a British monster hunter, who lost the Hood for most obscure character added to Marvel Rivals. Side note, why is he called the Hood? He has a gun. She's in the series a good amount, being another monster hunter and all, and usually has to look after Jeff, mostly because DP is being mutilated every other issue. There's this Marvel anthology story that takes place around this time. Elsa Bloodstone's giving the story about how dangerous the world is. The monsters, the blood, and Jeff's just sitting there like... Elsa's definitely not in the running for custody holder, but could be an argument for DP's being Jeff's true owner. Deadpool spends most of the run with Jeff instead of being introduced later in the series, and it's issue 6 of his series that probably became the catalyst for Jeff's iconic look. The artwork's taken over by Kevin Labranda, a fill-in artist in the series. DP wants flowers or something made from Krakoa Island, I don't know. X-Men won't let them, so they fight. Everyone finds Jeff adorable, even though he's trying to bite their face off. Jeff is drawn with a more circular, cute appearance compared to his animal-like look. Not an exact match, but definitely the basis of how he looks in his later years. Issue 6 also introduces another custody holder to the argument, Emma Frost, who originally wanted to make Jeff into a handbag. And like the flight risk he is, he doesn't notice. Frost comes around, though, long enough to create that custody battle achievement in Rivals. So, unpopular opinion, I would never consider Emma in the running for owning Jeff. She has brief appearances and very little significance with Jeff, less so than any other care holder, including Elsa. So if some side character who pet Jeff a few times could be a custody holder, then man, this system's freaked. I would know. One last thing, this is also where Jeff is venomized briefly. Mandatory fun fact. Deadpool would have looked like the definitive pick for Jeff's owner. He's been with him the longest so far, cares about his safety, and more importantly, isn't Deadpool. Deadpool wrapped up in 10 issues with DP still owning Jeff, perhaps being his new forever owner. But with Deadpool getting a new creative team, it also might have been the end of Jeff appearing in Marvel Comics. But life... For our next part of the custody battle, we need to go to Japan. Gurihiru, a Japanese artist duo, created a piece featuring the Marvel women for a Tokyo convention. Spider-Gwen, Squirrel Girl, Miss Marvel, Nadia Van Dyne, and Gwen were featured, but Jeff was the standout character in the piece. His anime shape, his little orange leaves, his little innocent look, despite wanting need to be dope. He's so adorable! People love this piece, but they love Jeff especially. And it was this artwork that spawned Jeff's own solo series, It's Jeff, a Vertical Scroll digital comic, and don't say you don't know it because we've all seen those TikTok clips.
So Jeff walks over and puts on the cutest fucking face.
But the vendor just tells him to fuck off.
Drawn by Gurihiru, the artist of the same piece, and written by Kelly Thompson again. They're like micro issues featuring Jeff going on hijinks, like pool parties, endangerment, unclean handling of produce, and straight up theft. They're like Tom and Jerry cartoons, but more wholesome. And like Tom and Jerry, the owners aren't really clear. So initially it's implied Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, now has custody of Jeff, specifically through Vertical 2, and how she almost drowns him. I guess DP gave him Bishop, or they really wanted to draw the Marvel women with Jeff again. But then you go to Jeff 7 when Jeff becomes an Avengers level threat by stealing stuff from Marvel's heroes, including Kate Bishop, but they go to Deadpool to complain? Why would they do that if Kate's the current custody holder? Don't blame me for the dog pissing in the bed if it's not my dog anymore. So what, does DP have like custody on weekends every other week? But that's probably not true because this is the sole time DP's in this series in a story way. Which is why I feel safe to say Bishop is the new custody holder. At least for this part of the series. She lives with him, she cooks for him, and why am I saying that like she's living with Jeff? Jeff's living with her. Jeff can't own a house, he's a shark. Sharks can't own things. And now we address the elefante in the room. His introduction to Marvel Rivals made him popular, which led to him getting more attention in the comics. He got physical releases of his digital comics, his first ever solo comic series in 2025, and second in 2026, and several crossover one-shots with Crypto, Aquaman, and Daredevil. With this really freaky Nick Klein variant. Holy shit, Jeff, get out the way! And with this rise of popularity and appearances, Jeff finds a new owner. Seemingly his real one all along. Despite the It's Jeff series and his role in the canon always being complicated, having multiple non-clear owners, we do find a conclusive answer about who Jeff's true custody holder is. It's not Deadpool, it's not Hawkeye, and it's not any other of the Marvel women except one. If it sounds like I'm stretching out this answer, it's because I really don't want to talk about it. Gwenpool. God, I feel dirty saying it. In case it's not clear, I'm not a fan of Gwenpool, for reasons I could make a whole video about. The short version of it is, I find her irritating, annoying, and just not funny. Wait a second. But she's integral to Jeff's life. Jeff hangs out with a lot of people, but his majority caretakers have been DP from the series, Hawkeye through its Jeff, but they've both never really been his true owners. Fortunately, the most consistent figure in all of the series, and the real forever owner of Jeff, has been Gwenpool. Hooray. She did adopt him after all, and while she did give her away, he came back to her, or she took him back. It's never been clear. This is evident in his recent solo series, where it's clear he lives with Gwenpool, and again in the intro to the series. Again, the Septopus is there too, but come on, who cares about him? With artist Tokotoro and Kelly Thompson again? For like the 5th time. That's right, Thompson has always been the champion for Jeff. All of Jeff's comic appearances have probably been written by her, among other characters from past series. If you think that's all she does, you might not be familiar with her other work. That's right, the same person who writes this also writes this, and I kinda want a crossover. But aside from the many owners of Jeff, his stories have always been lovable, optimistic tales that a lot of people have been exposed to thanks to Marvel Rivals. And goes to show you can't force a character to be popular. And while Hawkeye, Deadpool, and the others may not be the real owners of Jeff, there are no real winners in custody battles. Unless Gwenpool loses. In that case, we win!